Oops. Let me try again. Hello and welcome to Indiepocalypse. I am Andrew, your host, who forgets to unmute himself on Twitch. So,
Oh, hello.
hello. Let's pretend this never happened again. Let's start off. I mean, when I say pretend to unmute myself, I of course mean that I perfectly unmuted myself on time, and that was a 10-second delay of test audio, of course, just to make sure that the stream was running and you didn't hear us talking over it. Perfectly as intended. Yes, everything is on now. My microphone is on. Discord microphone is on. So, Indiepocalypse, it's here. It's a bundle. What's up? How you doing? I'm here with my first guest, Bianca. How you doing, Bianca?
I'm doing good.
Now that you're introduce yourself for the first time, Bianca, with no prep that you.
I yeah, no, I've prepared now. So my name is Bianca R. I'm a professional writing student. I do a lot of game dev on the side, and it's basically I was a contributor to Indiepocalypse as both a mini review writer and also as a game dev, of course. I did Are You Okay, which is an empathy game of sorts, and also Flower, which is an interactive poem based on Near Automata.
And those two games, would you say they were childhood favorites of yours that
Oh
you
yeah,
reviewed?
the two games that I reviewed for one of the issues was Avalon Code and Nostalgia, which are both very very tiny DS games that pretty much nobody played except for me when I was in seventh grade.
That's not true.
But
I have played Avalon Code.
are you serious? You're
It's
like
in
the first person I've met.
it's actually in this room that I'm in somewhere. It's like the
I'm
most
super.
recent DS game that I've played on a physical DS before I may have spent my time going to emulation.
I'm super jealous because I gave mine to EB Games when I was like 12 and they gave me like pennies for it. And now I search it up on Amazon or eBay and it goes for like well over $100.
Oh, yeah, I did that the other fairly recently because I got like there's a website called like VG Charts or price charting, and they
Hmm.
like track video game prices. And I used it for a while when I was buying games. It's like, oh, they're gonna close my account. Well, let me add some games to find out, just to keep my account open. And it was like,
Yeah.
oh, that JoJo game I bought 10 years ago, or whatever, is now like hundreds of dollars.
The really old one, right?
The fighting
The
game.
SN not Eyes of Heaven, the SNES one or
No, 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 no. The PlayStation. I have the PlayStation version of the fighting game by Capcom,
Oh,
and
gotcha,
it's like
gotcha.
$200 now. Same with like Persona Revelations and Innocent Sin and all those.
Damn.
That were like,
Crazy.
yeah, that were not that much money when I paid. I paid like $40 for them way, way back in the
Yeah.
day.
The
Back when,
wealth that EB Games stripped us of.
yeah, back in the day when like JoJo was just a weird. The third part was out in English and nobody knew what it
Mm.
was.
Yeah. Those are the days.
Um, so I'm going to ask you the question, the most important question I have to ask everyone. Um, how did you hear about Indiepocalypse? How did you find it?
So Indiepocalypse, I found it when I was looking for game jams on Itch,
Okay.
and it was on the first page, and I was just like, oh man, I should try to get into this, even though I was kind of doubting that I would get in for my two games.
Yeah, I
But
think that's like I had someone who had like a very similar response and like the I said all the contributors when they get in a big Google form, they say here's all the
Mhm.
info I need, and I had like additional comments. Usually it's like, hey, thanks. I'm like, oh, thank you. And one was like, why did you let me in? I don't get it. My game is not good enough. I'm like, people don't understand. I want your weird art games in here. I want your interactive poems in here.
Yeah, no, definitely, because the more I explore kind of the creative field of game dev or just writing in general, the less I see those kind of weird niche things that you see in Indiepocalypse every month. And
Yeah,
it's really really cool because I would say that my writing style is very offbeat. Basically, a lot of stuff that I write is just fan fiction that becomes more pretentious
yeah,
and interactive as I go on. And I think it's really killer that we kind of have that publication that just pays you $20 for a game
yeah.
or a mini review. Yeah.
Yeah, I am like I want to be a house for the unmarketables, you know?
And that's what I need at the moment, so
Yeah.
I'm very happy.
I really love I there's a lot of easy comparisons. I think the greatest comparison I want to compare Indiepocalypse to is this if you know like I think it's the Baltic Comics review or magazine or it's called Koos.
Hmm.
It's like a comic publication out of Latvia, which is I would
Oh
say
damn.
has Indiepocalypse energy where it's just like here's like you subscribe, you get three. There was this mini Koos, which is like look in a minute little zines, and then there's the proper volumes, which are like short 4 or 5 page comics. They're just like abstract outsider art, totally unmarketable. And I aspire to one day be the video game version of that. So I'm glad that you found that your artistic like anxieties found a home in Indiepocalypse.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sorry, what was the magazine called? The one
I'm
in
not.
the Latvian one?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's pronounced Ku. Yeah, it's Kus, but the U has a
Yeah.
little like hat on it that I don't know how to
Oh,
pronounce.
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I think.
I took French.
Oh, okay. I think you might also. I think it
Mhm.
might also be found if you search for like Baltic Comics magazine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I got the name right. But yeah, definitely. Like the program I'm in, professional writing, is full of very, very, how would you say, traditional writing, where
yes.
the the impetus, like the most important thing in that program is making sure you're clear and people can understand what you're writing about, or and they pretty much equate something that's incomprehensible to bad writing.
Right.
So if I write something like a story about how I went to the grocery store, if people can't understand it, it's bad writing. And that's something that I really, 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 really hate because the I feel like the depths of human experience or whatever, like the rage that people feel, the sadness people feel, that cannot be translated to good writing or even comprehensible writing in general. And that's
Yeah.
why we need things that are very strange and very niche and sometimes pretentious.
No, I.
And
That's a,
yeah.
a going theme for these radio shows is I think games need to be a little bit more pretentious. Honestly.
Yeah, I remember you saying that in last week's
Yeah.
stream.
People need to be a little snobbier. I think it would help the medium because I think pretension means that people give a shit. Honestly,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
yeah, I'm surprised to hear that from like I guess it depends from like school to school, but you would think like writing by now people would be like, oh no, you can do all writing can be like abstract and formless and just like
Hmm.
I've never read it, but you know something like Finnegan's Wake is notoriously unreadable, but also notoriously popular as a work of fiction.
Haven't personally read that one, but
Neither have
I
I.
remember I remember one of the things that we read in another English class at university was Gertrude Stein's work. If
Okay.
you know her, she's a modernist poet,
Yeah.
and she wrote this big series called Tender Buttons, I think, and it's just basically it reads like a grocery list with like really weird things involved. Like she would talk about like hot lamps or whatever. And everyone that read it in the class was just like, "This is stupid. This makes no sense." But the professor was just like, "No, but there's a lot of value in this." And I guess that's
Right.
kind of what I took from it. Like, even if most people will come across Tender Buttons and be like, "This is stupid. This doesn't make sense," I feel like at least one person will be able to resonate with it, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think that is can be the power of like more abstract art is that where I have a thing where I believe that sort of I think one of the reasons I don't usually connect with like very mainstream pop culture is I feel like things that resonate with everybody, it's hard for them to connect with like an individual.
Exactly.
Is
Yeah,
that
I had. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you can go. I wasn't going to say much.
I had an English teacher in high school who said that the more specific you get in your writing, the more universal it is, which is helpful to remember when you're writing something about like that could only have happened to you. But at the same time, do we really need it to be universal? I feel like we don't.
No, no. I think I think that's the thing
No,
is
yeah.
is that people like, especially with games, you have to what's your angle? Like, how you got to hook people? How you got to get the big audience? But because
Yeah.
it's like there's the mentality is there has to be you have to everyone's spending like 4 or 5 years on games, so it has to resonate with everybody because you spent 5 years making it.
Yeah.
It's not
But
like
mhm.
no, you continue. If I ever cut you off, just keep going. Just plow right through whatever I'm saying.
Okay, for sure. We'll keep that in mind. But yeah. No, definitely. I I want to create things that maybe only one person other than me will understand, but that person will get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I had one person that I was talking to, and oh, sorry. Let me change my track of thought. Like I created this game, Are You Okay, for Indiepocalypse, and it was about me having an anxiety attack
Yeah.
in a movie theater, which actually happened. And when I went to go see some anime movie, like in Ontario, and I was writing this like, damn, this is so specific, and it was for a class too. And I thought it's kind of embarrassing. I'm just kind of bearing my soul out here. But then a lot of people in the comments when I published the work, they were just like, wow, this really spoke to me because I have psychosis or I have anxiety. The same
Yeah.
thing happened to me. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I guess we're all crazy then.
No, like when I
But
played it, I'm like, wow, this like very effectively like captures like this feeling, like through not just like the language, but like the way you like modified and warped the text within. It's just fascinating to see how people that was it made in Twine or just something Twine adjacent.
no, it was made in Twine.
Yeah, like the way people increasingly like change and warp how they use Twine and how links work within Twine and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like because I think it
No,
can very easily be written off as like a text adventure game or something like a hyperlink game.
yeah. No, definitely. When I started making Are You Okay, I became obsessed with you've probably read it, or I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are online know it, but 1777-6 by John Boyce at
Yeah.
Secret Base. Of
Yes.
course, yeah.
I haven't
um,
read the whole thing about it. I am familiar with his extended whatever sports universe or
yeah.
conceptual sports universe.
No, yeah. I haven't actually finished it myself, but I started reading 2020 and I fell in love with it, stopped reading before it finished. But anyways, so with 1776 is when you scroll down on the page that it's on, because it's written like a sports article
Yeah.
on sbnation.com. And as you scroll down, you think you're reading this little article about football, and the text becomes huge. And when I first opened that page, it scared the shit out of me because I was like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" And then it like transfers to this whole different narrative, and it seems like it was almost on a different web page about this huge sprawling story. And well, basically, I really like 1776, but what I wanted to say is that this text effect, I was obsessed with it, and I broke down the source code of the web page, and I was
Yeah.
just like, I need to find this, I need to find this, and I
Right.
spent like hours and days trying to figure out how to get that code and put it in my game, and eventually I found it, and it's in the title screen for Are You Okay?
Okay. Yeah. So, and I think, I mean, that's goes back to partially some of the idea of like the little things people talk about that connect with
Yeah.
people. This was like a text effect that connected with you on this moment. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I was obsessed. I was like, I need this, even if like it didn't make a big impact, but I feel like it did
Yeah.
because people, I think once you get past the title screen of my game, which hopefully people did, they're just like, okay, I know what I'm in for now. This isn't going to be like a little interactive novel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's like so many. There were a lot of games very early on. Yours being one of them. Like, I was like, yes, okay. I think this whole thing is gonna work out because I was
oh
definitely very nervous early on. I was like, well, how like will it work? Like, will it be able to pull and get entries like month after month? So it's interesting that like you found it just by happening like upon it on the jams page. Because I wonder if there was like a secret like artist network that like whisper network of like weirdo artists who were like, yes, let's go to Indiepocalypse, everyone. But it's like, no, the people who I just want to be here are just like naturally inclined to find it, I guess, somehow. I don't
I
know.
I think I've seen Indiepocalypse on the front page of like the Itch Jams site, like consistently.
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe they're like, because it occasionally gets on the front page of just like Itch, like every other issue or so. Not
Yeah,
quite,
yeah,
not quite,
I saw the latest one there too.
not quite
And I was
Stock
like,
Pop where we can have every single game put up in there by default, but we'll get there eventually.
yeah, like I think the other week or a couple days ago I was on Itch and I saw Indiepocalypse on the front page and I was just like, "Oh, good, good. It's still
Ye-
here. There's still momentum."
Yeah, like when it gets featured, it's like a huge difference in terms of like submissions and everything else. As it turns out, getting front page features is very helpful.
Yeah.
So I do have one question that I ask everyone that I had
Mhm.
prepared. Um, what would you recommend to people who play games? Because this comes down. I think people who play games can sometimes feel insular and they only play games. And you see another game set in Shibuya and you're like, oh wow, dude, it's just like Persona 5. So, which I saw recently, because like
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
there's
The World Ends With You thing.
yeah, people are like, wow, just like Persona. It's like no one tell anyone about Shibuya, I guess. But
Yeah.
what non-game thing would you recommend to all the gamers out there? Not necessarily related to game design or how it can impact games, but it's just like, hey, try something besides a video game every now and then.
Right. So, for all you gamers out there, I feel like I had an answer prepped for this where I was pretty much going to talk about John Boyce
Yeah.
and his line of work. But I think uh, the most important thing in any art really is that it feels self-indulgent to you
Yeah.
and it feels like not only something only you would make, but something you would want to read. So I would recommend just find whatever you loved as a child.
Okay.
Like for me, it was Digimon the movie. And find out why did you like that so much? How did it change your brain on a chemical level? And just kind of exploit that and find something that really, really speaks to you. So like when I saw Digimon the movie when I was like a little baby, I was obsessed with the scene where War Greymon and the other Digimon, I can't remember, they're like fighting in like some cyberspace thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just take all this kind of language about digital spaces, a very kind of 2000s angle, and I'm gonna transport it to kind of like this sounds very, very strange, but like theological language.
All right.
And that's where a lot of my original stories come from. But yeah, so sorry, I got a bit off the mark there. But basically,
No.
whatever you really, really care about, whatever
Yeah.
just speaks to you on a spiritual level.
Go
Just,
dig up
you know,
whatever old DVDs you have that you hadn't watched in
yeah,
like since you were a child. Find your old mix CDs or something. And
exactly.
go,
Find
what
your
did
old DS games.
yeah, well, what did I listen to? I had a friend who was actually talking about like, guy, I want to watch Digimon the movie again recently, and I only remember that cyber part, but I think it wasn't it like at least in the West like cut up into like was it like three movies spliced into one or something weird like that?
I think it was the opposite. It was released in Japan as 3 movies, and in the States, they kind of Frankensteined it into one big movie, and they called it Digimon the movie.
Okay, because I thought it was like three very distinct, like even like across the different generations or series or something.
Yeah, no, no, the originals are
Yeah.
like that, and if if I'm wrong, you can like lambast me in the chat, except don't. But I'm pretty sure like the first movie was like our war game, and then they just kind of like decided to smoosh them all together and make
Yeah.
some really shitty for kids dubbed
And then
movie.
put like Smash Mouth or whatever over it.
But that's the magic of it. Like I want every movie to be a Smash Mouth musical, but that's just me.
And
But
then
yeah.
and also I guess like I so you watched it fairly recently, or is just in your heart fairly recently?
In my heart, always
Okay.
Digimon the movie's always playing in my head.
Because in my mind, I'm
I
like,
actually bought the DVD from Amazon. Yeah, sorry.
I was like, that first part probably holds up because technically, isn't the first part just like a like basically like a trial run for Summer Wars, and Hosada's like big anime director now anyway.
There's a lot of people comparing Digimon the movie to Summer Wars.
Well, it's the same
Uh,
director.
yeah, it is Mamoru Hosada.
Yeah.
And but like for some reason I can never connect to Summer Wars. I always connect to Digimon the movie.
Yeah.
And I guess Summer Wars is the more polished version
Right.
of that. But
Right.
Digimon the movie is my shit. So
Yeah, Digimon the movie is the draft, but it's like, you know, it's the one you saw, and if and really, honestly, I did Summer Wars didn't blow me away anyway. Honestly, to be fair, so it's like
yeah.
I like the Girl Who Leapt Through Time. I think that's a good movie. Anyway, let's not. We don't talk about anime here at Indiepocalypse. Anime is a terrifying. Oh, here's an important question: would you ever admit to someone that you liked anime? Just
I think I just did to
Shit.
our
because that's
to
what
our
to the stream and to me.
to the stream and to God himself or themselves. But yeah.
That's always one of my biggest fears, honestly, is I would never admit that I liked anime because I feel like. Also, unsurprisingly, a person who runs a weird indie zine has pretentious feelings about things, and those things also include anime. So, I'm definitely afraid that if I admit like I like anime, I'm going to hear about the worst anime possible from somebody, and I don't know how to let them down gently.
Oh, that's happened to me a bunch of times.
Because people are like, oh, anime, that genre of anime. I'm like, yes, no, I didn't mean the one where it's like, wow.
Where, yeah.
I have this.
Where illegal things happen.
Yeah, or like a big anime red flag for me is when all of the like the intros, all of the outside language about an anime is all female characters, but the main character is a man. Major red flag for me because I feel like there's a reason he's blonde, he's faceless because he's author surrogate and anyway.
An audience surrogate a lot of times, yeah.
I don't want to be your. Anyway, anime aside, all anime aside. Sorry, big breath. So that's actually like a good place to end our segment here. That's like a good half hour. Like I said, it just breezes by, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're encouraged to stick around, pipe up if should need be in the next segment if you have anything immediately present to say. Think of it like we're all hanging out in the studio, you know?
Sure.
Having a good time. And then some
I
people
just wanted to shout out my itch real fast. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Andrew. I'm CryoCannon on itch and also Twitter. So
yes.
Follow me, please, if you like pretentious talking about anime and also near Automata sometimes.
Yeah,
and thank you.
Yeah, and I'll make sure we'll hit you again at the end because I will remember to do plugs at the end as well. But for now, we are going back to break. Goodbye.
In the
Your problems. Hey, what's up? Hey, hello, welcome to Back to Indiepocalypse. I just forgot to. There was no other fires going on behind the stream that I forgot to, turn my audio microphone back on. Hey, what's up?
Are you serious? So you've been talking this whole time, and then
luckily, it was only like 30 seconds or so. But luckily, this is a professional operation. Hey, Cheer, what's up? How you doing, Chair?
Doing all right.
Welcome to Indiepocalypse Radio. How you doing?
So good. You were saying that that your audio wasn't going through. Dude, it's like, okay, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I am like, dude, like I think my scuffness has like passed on to you.
Yeah.
Because there's always stream issues when it comes to me. So I think you're now part of my curse.
Oh god, yeah. I think I need to find a way that so it just like when I switch forward and back between my break and my regular scenes. So I just said, don't forget to unmute yourself. Hey, you know what, buddy? Welcome to 30 seconds ago, where I did. Yeah. I think I need to like spend a little more time with OBS and just find out whatchamacallit, like something so it just automatically turn the audio sources on and off as I switch between breaks in my chat scenes, but I haven't done that yet. So hey, tell me about a little bit about yourself.
Oh, all right. So hi, I am Cherry G Tables. I am an indie game developer, and I am employed as a web developer, and I speedrun games. I speedrun my own games, and I speedrun Pringles for the Sega Genesis.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say the food.
And I play competitive fighting games. I got top 8 in like Anime Evo. You know Evo, right? Like
yeah, I know all about Anime Evo. I know all about Anime Evo even.
Oh, well, have you heard of this game called Fight of Animals, where your characters are meme animals like the?
Yes, I have.
What was that? Yeah, like the walking cat.
Yeah, I know all about the meme animal fighting game. Please, I've been on the internet once or twice before. I know about obscure fighting games. Let me tell you about my PS2 copy of Melty Blood that I own.
You play Melty Blood?
I do not play it a lot because it's obviously a PS2 game that I don't necessarily have people to play with, but
You have me now.
I have a love for that game, and there's one of those characters who she's like a vampire. And
you mean Arquid?
Is she the one where she like walks backwards and points at you? And that's like one of my favorite animations in fighting games.
Oh no, that's Akihatono.
Yes, that is like one of my favorite. I love fighting game animation. That's like top shelf. Just like I'm walking backwards, but I'm coming back for you in a second. It's just like so good. I have such an adoration for that.
By the way, I got last place in Melty Blood.
Melty Blood is like a game made of pure chaos. There's like everything turns into everything. It's beautiful in its own way.
It's big true. But like, okay, let me tell you something about Melty Blood. One of the reasons why I entered Melty Blood in Anime Evo was so one of the things that like it's like I wanted to learn how to do Photoshop, and I was like, oh, I want to learn Photoshop, but I don't know what to do. And my parents were like, oh, let me contact this guy to help you out. Yeah. And then they got me to like learn Photoshop in my school, and then that guy was like, all right, I'm gonna show you Photoshop, even though you're younger than most of your classmates in this class. And then I finished the assignment so much, and all I do there is just make memes. And he's like, okay, all right, you know what? Here, just play Melty Blood or something. And he gives me a copy of Melty Blood. And then look, this is his fault. Now I know what Melty Blood is, and I was hoping that I'd get far in Melty Blood. So if he ever sees like a Melty Blood video, it's like, wait, I know that person.
That
I taught this kid.
That is influencing young minds from a young age. I remember looking back on it. I remember it was like an aunt's old boyfriend who gave me like a copy of Final Fantasy Tactics, and he had like XCOM for the PS1 and all these like. He was probably actually a very cool guy that I was like too young to realize that he was cool because I had no content. I think he was a cartoonist. And he was probably like, oh, this is like. But then also the only memory I have of him is he owned a 3DO, and I was like, this thing looks sucky.
Wait, he has a 3DO?
I haven't heard of the guy in like 20 years or something. But
dude, I've never met anyone that had a 3DO.
Only
Like, I have all these friends that collect like retro games, but
Yeah.
not a single one of them like have a 3DO. I'm actually curious.
I have a I think the weirdest one. I had a long time where I was spending a lot of money, like buying retro games and everything, and I got a decent. I don't know if you heard earlier from me talking about I have like, you know, very expensive JoJo games now at this point, and Persona games and JRPGs I bought forever ago that have just like.
Have you played the JoJo PS1 game, the fighting game?
Yeah, it's the one I own. That's like $300 now, complete in box, that I have.
Oh my gosh!
that I own complete in box. Yeah, I've got that. Yeah, it's
I can't believe it.
It's cool. It's super cool. I have like, yeah. Do I have Earthbound? Dude, yeah, I got Earthbound. Did I get it back when it was like $40? You know I did. But like, yeah, I was like, well, all this is to say, I own a TurboGrafx with no good games. But that's like the most like niche thing. I thought about it, when I say I thought about, I meant like thought about today about getting an FM Towns Marty, because I like the name FM Towns Marty. But also all the games are like Japanese. It was never released in the US. And
wait, have you ever played any PC 98 Japanese games?
No, that is also like something. I am not playing that many video games right now. And like, I go through like ebbs and flows for like the art form that I'm most invested in right now. And right now it is not video games, but like, I want to get very into like just like weird old Japanese PC stuff that like never made it over here. Also, as I learn Japanese too, so I can better contact Japanese indie developers.
Oh, that's actually what I want to do too.
Like I think you were actually in an we kind of went off very quickly, but you were in an issue of Indiepocalypse number 6 with Super Ledgehog Double Laser. And
yeah, number
6 was actually a issue that I believe had a Japanese indie developer in it.
No, I saw. Or was it just an artist?
No, that might have been the next issue. Or they might have been the same issue. I don't remember, because these all blend together in my brain, because I do it constantly, and I'm like always working on 3 of them at once.
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, Inversity is from a game from a Japanese dev that I just contacted them. I'm like, hey, and they were in, and yes, actually that is also the same thing. That is the same issue that had the Japanese indie comic artist who was in it, who I just like. Oh. I reached out to Glacier Bay Books, which is like huge shout out to Glacier Bay Books, who are like my favorite. I'm very into comics.
Yeah, no, I can tell ever since I met you at MomoCon.
Yes, which is like, important question. Do you remember what we talked about at MomoCon? I need like that.
No.
I'm not going to remember you. that was like 4 8-hour days. And without,
I know that's the thing. There's so much going on. I can't remember everything.
And without like that one that moment to key in on, like, but you like talking to you sound very familiar. Like I feel like I don't remember our exchange at MomoCon, but I feel like we've spoken before at least.
Oh, I don't think. Maybe I have this weird iconic laugh, I guess.
Maybe,
that's what some people say. Tell me.
You have a cadence that is very familiar to me. But yeah, yes, issue 6. But yeah, like I said, Glacier Bay Books. I gotta shout them out every time I can, because they're I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like Glaolia. They're publishing like indie manga anthologies, which is like the shit that I want and I crave. And don't tell anyone. It's the embarrassing reason I'm learning Japanese, so I can just go over and read indie manga without having to rely on publishers to bring it over, because I like weird indie shit. So important question that I should have got. How did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
Oh, how did I hear about it?
How did you find Indiepocalypse?
Wait. Let me think. Oh gosh.
Yeah. How did
no.
You...
Oh no. I remember. Someone just retweeted it. That's it.
Oh, okay. Do you remember who?
No. I just saw it's like Indiepocalypse is now featured. Now issue I think 4 or like 5 came out. I was like, oh, okay. let me see what's this about. And I looked the site. It's like, submit your game. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And then I just threw it in.
Yeah, no, perfect. Social media reach works.
It does.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what I hope for. When I see people, whenever I see someone like something, I'm like, you piece of shit, just retweet it. It's retweet it. You know what I do? I retweet and I like everything. Cause, but no, that's good. That means it's working. That means I got you in there. I got you in, honestly. I think that was one of my issues where it's one of my you were in one of my heavy lifting issues, so to speak, where I had to go and get a lot of those developers myself.
Oh man.
I have like real peaks and valleys in terms of submissions, where like sometimes people just do not show up, or they show up and all their games are bad, and I don't want to include them.
Wow.
But I don't like to tell people that.
Wow.
But you know what? Also, my definition of bad is not always the same. So I would probably turn down a lot of like AAA games because I think they're bad. I remember playing like it won like Game of the Year awards. I remember playing like Shadow of Mordor. I'm like, why did someone make this? Like, who is this for? That's like,
oh my, dude, like one of my favorite compliments that I got recently. There was this VTuber that played my game.
Yeah.
And she was like, "What the hell? Where does this game come from? How come I never saw this? I'd buy 60 copies of this game over one AAA
yes
title."
And that's why I love indies, because it's like people would like, they love this shit. I've gone to like indie comic shows and people like, yes, they fill up their bags full of like $10 zines for like $10 15-page zines, and they fill up their bags and they go crazy because people love it. But like the culture is not fully there for games yet, I don't think, and I'm just trying to help it get there.
I think that's one of the things. It's just so hard for like to find like the good games.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't have reach.
Right.
Like,
because it's like
it's there's no one to like, there's like no one to like, it's like, hey, I seen this, but it's like if you don't have anyone with you,
right,
it's only gonna be like a few people,
right?
So that's one of the toughest things.
And a lot of people doing the work of like covering these games probably have lower viewer counts in this channel, or like they have fewer followers than like you, and the people trying to like get their work seen. It's like, so it's hard. It's like, well, I have bigger reach than this guy, and this guy's trying to get my game out there, and it's
like, one of my favorite moments was one of my artist friends that helps makes the art for my games.
Yeah.
She had like, I don't know, like the first time I encountered her was like just I found her through like some Twitter hashtags or something.
That's how I find a lot of cover artists.
And I was like, oh, 21 followers? But this is so good! And I follow, and dude, like, what the heck? Like, every time she posts art now, like, 2 years later, it's like 7,000 likes. I'm like, whoa! This growth is huge.
Yeah, and it's just like, there's so many people, and there's probably like 30 more people like that out there admiring in like 21 followers, and they're just like doing amazing work, but...
Yeah. The thing is, we just need to find a way to get like all of the good people, to, like, to get the attention that they deserve, because there's so many that are so good, but no one really sees it.
Right. Especially like with bigger sites like indie, like people cover their 5 indies every year or something, and it's like, so this year it's like, our indies are like Hades and Spelunky or like Fall Guys and Among Us or something. And it's like, well, we filled up our indies for the year. You want us to talk about 6 indies? No, thank you. I was saying, the only coverage I remember getting is a French blog talked about one of my games like years ago, because there's like a weird like art games, and like, and they were actually ended up being in Indiepocalypse 2 or 3. a game that that blogger developer had worked on, and it was just like, yeah, you find your audiences in different places, but they're not often like places that talk to each other, and it's a bunch of like tiny disparate communities, and there's not like the indie game scene is not like as cohesive as it could be, I guess. I don't know.
I guess. I think like one of the reasons why like some people find me is because I'm all over the place.
Yeah, you just gotta be there. You gotta be hustling nonstop.
Yeah, I don't just make games. Like I upload videos, I stream, and then like I compete in tournaments. So like if I beat up someone, there's like, hey, if I beat you up, can you play my game? And I do all these speedrun races.
Yeah,
and like it's just like bringing like all of these people like across so many different communities that I was able to form like eventually they'll find out it's like, oh, Chair does this stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do with like indie games. So like I just do that.
Yeah, I don't think there's like a right answer. I think that's the reason. Like, I mean, part of the reason I started this radio show. It's like I was like, hey, no one's paying attention, but all these people are cool. But I don't want them to just like come in for like a moment, and then just like, oh, well, your issue's over, and no one pays attention anymore. So I was like, hey, yeah, exactly. So it's like, also let's get these people like on each other's radar and stuff like that.
Nah, dude, like the issue that had Super Ledge Hop on it.
Yeah.
Because I got a physical copy from you.
Oh yes, yeah.
I framed it in my place.
I've still got physical copies of like every single one, and I actually have like my very first like, hey, shout out indiepocalypse.com/Patreon, subscribe to Indiepocalypse, get them delivered every month in a nice link to you. Someone subscribed to like the physical tier, so I printed out the first like full bleed edition of it, which costs more money because I get it for the people at Staples think I'm cool, so they don't charge me to print the free copies. Yeah. But I gotta do it out of store to print like the full bleed. It look really nice, honestly. And I think
I liked it. I liked it.
I think when the show like conventions open back up in like 2023 or whatever, I'm gonna have to print full bleed copies of them because I want to bring them to shows because I feel like it's very easy to hand it to somebody and be like, look at all these cool games, and to sell them like at shows. But
and if we ever meet again in the convention, I'll make a bigger noise so we can remember each other.
I'm like 90% sure like I remember you as someone who I interacted with, but I just like our interaction is gone from my brain. I don't know if it'll ever come back unless one of us remembers, like says, oh, remember we talked about this one thing, and I'm like, oh yes, and my brain just like locks on that single moment. I'm like, that thing, yes, now I remember our conversation. But
it's like totally fine because it's so much more embarrassing when like like someone comes to my table, because I do this thing when I get into conventions where I'm like, all right, if you beat me up in Smash Brothers, you can have a discount. And then some people just don't even come for discounts. They just want to play with me. And then there's this like a few times where I'm like, oh, are you here for a discount? They're like, no, dude, I already got the discount. I'm just here to hang out. I was like, do you remember me? I'm the Peachy player. I'm like, I'm sorry, I forgot. And it's sometimes like some people like come over my table like repeatedly. It's like, hey, do you remember me from last year? I'm like, oh no. I feel bad. I feel so bad. But yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Yes, okay. Now I got an important question. Hey, video games, fuck them. Who needs them? What else should? I mean, listen. I'm just being a cool guy for a second. All right, just bear with me. I'm just being. I'm trying to be cool for all the fans out there. Trying to be like I'm a tough guy,
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm really cool. So, what would you recommend that's not a video game for people out there?
That's not a
video game.
Actually,
Or board
What
game, or table. No games here. No games allowed in this stream.
Are visual novels games?
They are games. Visual novels are games.
Oh man.
No anime adaptations of visual novels. Those also count as games, as far as I'm concerned.
Connect Four. Connect Four.
That's a game. You play it with friends.
You want me to recommend something that's not games?
Not a game. Not a game. Not a game.
I can talk about food all day.
Tell me about food. No, seriously, tell me about food.
Okay.
What's a dish you would recommend?
What dish I would recommend?
Yeah. As someone who just like before the stream made some really bad waffles that stuck to the pan and were definitely poorly cooked in prep for the stream. What would you recommend?
I don't cook good.
What would you recommend someone make for you that you would love to eat?
Curry. Okay.
Okay, what's your favorite style of curry?
Okay. So like Japanese curry. Oh my. Okay. Let me tell you something.
Okay.
So like, our UI artists.
Yeah.
Every time we he makes the best curry ever. And every time we meet like one of the members of our development team,
Yeah.
and like, you know, it's like because we're all spread out like throughout the world, and whenever we see someone, he makes the best curry. Just over, and it's so good. I would eat it so many times. Dude, okay, so let me tell you something.
Yeah, tell me about curry. I'm a big curry fan.
Okay, so for most of my life, I lived in like this U.S. territory called Guam.
Yeah.
It's a small island.
Yes.
It's a small island. You could circle this island in like 1 to 2 hours by car.
Yeah, I found that small island for my big map on the website.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, because on my map on the website, if you go to indiepocalypse.com, which just redirects to pizzapranks.com, you can see all profiles of all the contributors, and you see a map where all the games that came from, with like little dots on all the maps where all the people are from. To show, hey, look,
That must be me.
yeah, it is you. To show, like, hey, I think I'm up to like we're up to like 16 reported countries right now.
Mm-hmm. Dude, like, I said like 1 to 2 hours, but in reality, if you compare it to like other places in the world, dude, that's like 30 minutes, because the fastest speed limit in Guam is 35.
Yeah, that is like.
It's so slow.
Yeah, especially if you're used to the U.S., which is huge.
Yeah.
Which most states are probably bigger than. Most states are bigger than Guam.
Do you know Lake Tahoe in like California?
Yeah.
You could fit Guam inside there.
My gosh, yeah. See. Yeah,
You could fit it.
the closest place that I can buy curry, like the closest place where I can get Indian curry, which is the only curry nearby me, is about half an hour away.
Oh my gosh!
I'm driving from one end to the other of Guam. And this is like on a highway, so this is like that full like 80 miles an hour back and forth. So I'm driving from point to point on the island to grab some curry, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Or more.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. Like why I was like talking about Guam in the first place, because like, okay, let me tell you something.
Yes.
There's this locally owned restaurant near my place.
Yeah.
And it started off as like that, like, you know, it's like those mom and pop stores that has like a generic sign.
Yeah.
And then, but when you walk in, it's like this whole anime place.
What's it called?
It's called Arashi Guam.
Okay, so it's
like. And there's like anime posters all over the place, and then they have anime playing on the TV, and guess what they use to just keep it running? I think they had Netflix on their Wii, and they just have it playing the whole time. But their curry, it's so good. And like, see, this is the thing, like I moved away from Guam, and I was like, oh man, now I can't eat my favorite curry place. And then like where I moved to in the mainland America, dude, like there's no Japanese curry anywhere. So I was
No.
like, oh my gosh.
I mean, the last time I got a ramen bowl was literally when I was in Ohio because there is none around me. Like literally zero. I have to drive up to a major city, which is like hours away to get honestly most food. Never mind that. But listen, we've had a lot of fun talking here, but we can't go on forever. We're gonna hit a break. I'm gonna pray this video works, and I'll come back and we're gonna have everybody and we'll figure out what's going on. All right, we ready? We're good? Hey.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking. I'm gonna hit a break now. Goodbye.
Yo guys, is it finally time for the Super Latch Hop update? Finally, yes. But dude, like what even is in the Super Latch Hop update? We've put so much work into this update, even though it looks pretty small. Dude, like check out like all of these new graphics, all of these new dialogue art, cutscene art, new sprites, and not just for Chizu. Yo guys, is it finally time for the Super Latch Hop update? Finally, yes. But dude, like what even is in the Super Latch Hop update? We've put so much work into this update, even though it looks pretty small. Dude, like check out like all of these new graphics, all of these new dialogue art, cutscene art, new sprites, and not just for Chizu. Look at all of these new enemies, new songs. It's so good. Yo guys, is it finally time for the Super Latch Hop update? Finally, yes. But dude, like what even is in the Super Latch Hop update? We've put so much work into this update, even though it looks pretty small. Dude, like check out like all of these new graphics, all of these new dialogue art, cutscene art, new sprites, and not just for Chizu. Look at all of these new enemies, new songs. It's so good. Now with all of the help from our artists and our cool new artist friends we made along the way, dude, they replaced all of my ugly art because, you know, I'm a programmer, and so that's what I did. I created a new stage for you guys where you get to play as Yuto Ichika. This is a whole new stage and a whole new boss. You gotta beat him up. Dude, check this out. Like, you can finally speedrun this game on keyboard, especially when we show it off at Games Done Quick over at January. Dude, that's how it's supposed to be, man. That's why we're gonna try to make this accessible for anyone. But is that it? Is this all we do to celebrate the Super Latch Hop anniversary? Dude, no! Check this out! This whole entire world! This VR chat, baby! It's so good! Yeah, and you can visit this world anytime you want. There's so much going on. Check this out! This is the stage 1, baby! And, you gotta check it out yourself. Like, I'm so glad with like the community we got, because not only we get this, but we got 2 new stages in Rivals of Aether. You got the final Ledge Hop, the final stage, and then you got the stage 2, because that happens, you know, we gotta update Yuto Ichika in Rivals of Aether, and that's why she got the cool new balance updates. Anyways, thank you very much for being patient with us with developing this game. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but we did put in some work into this. We're really doing our best, so I hope you enjoy.